Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Conservatives apparently raise a threat level and may be considered domestic terrorists, according to a recent study out of West Point. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Shawn Akers, the director of our Middle Eastern Affairs for Liberty Counsel. Shawn, this particular report is shocking because it comes from the West Point, and it is the group called Combating Terrorism Center at West Point, and the director of it is the director of terrorism. So the fact that this is coming out of West Point and that this is from the director of terrorism at West Point, and now what they've done is they have released a report called Challengers from the Sidelines, Understanding America's Violent Far Right. And this author says that individuals such as pro-lifers, those that have ideological doctrine, raise the threat level and can be considered a risk for terrorism.
You know, Matt, this is an amazing thing that you see the institution that trains the premier military leaders of the nation's future taking such a stance, especially when you've got such contrast with things like Islamic terrorism, with groups, innumerable groups around the globe that truly do raise the risk level. And yet, for some reason, those who happen to hold conservative points of view are not only singled out, but you have to read the entire report to get to the punchline that they're not as dangerous as you might think. Yeah, well,
this is a study authored by Dr. Perliger. He's the director of terrorism at the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point. He obtained his Ph.D. in 2007, began working at West Point in August 2010 after the Obama administration took office. And this report says that in both Israel and the United States, the far right encompasses strong religious dimensions. He continues, if there is one ideological doctrine about which there is almost full consensus regarding its importance for understanding the far right worldview, it is that of nationalism. So those who believe in God and nationalism, they're patriotic, they believe in limited government. He calls those anti-federalist, and he puts them in a risk category. And this is an individual who is doing this study at West Point, of all places, not looking at radical Islamic terrorism. In fact, he has another book on Jewish terrorism, terrorism by people who are in Israel who are Jews because of their religious beliefs, not about Islamic terrorism. And now this one here, focusing on people who love God in America, believe in limited government, and are pro-life.
You know, it's an amazing thing, Matt. It's very much like drawing the analogy that that conservatives are equal lawbreakers to those who blow up buildings in downtown New York because they occasionally run a red light. That's really what we're doing. Is I think he is reaching out to a very liberal global audience and trying to appease those who like the contrarian, progressive liberal view. And what he's done is demonized people based on their ideology, based on really a Judeo-Christian worldview, more than any actual actions that they've taken.
Yeah, he goes on. He actually points out other threats, those that believe in the natural definition of marriage as a union of one man and one woman. They're a threat to our national security. Those who believe in protecting the preborn, those who believe in limiting the amount of taxes and reducing taxes, and thus a limited federal government. Those are anti-federalists. Those are the people on the far right. Those are threat levels. In this study, he points to, quote, anti-abortionist as an active threat for terrorists, and points to speeches by the former Surgeon General, Dr. C. Everett Koop, and the late Dr. Francis Schaeffer points to those individuals as reasons why anti-abortionists, in his words, are a threat to our peace. But then on 4 pages from the end, like you're saying, I mean, this is the study. It's you can download it from PDF, you can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, and you can read our press release, and we're going to have a link to this study. It's quite thick, as you can see. It is over 100 pages. It's actually 147 pages. But when you get 4 pages from the end, this is what he says. Like you said, Shawn, 4 pages from the end, he says that violence perpetrated by anti-abortionists is in decline, and pro-lifers are probably a less salient threat. So at any rate, after all that smoke and mirrors, he says they're really not a threat anyway.
You know, Matt, when you have other groups who aren't ideologically aligned with what he calls the right, it's really a Judeo-Christian worldview. When you have things like the progressive left who go out and attack whaling ships because they're against whaling, then they make TV shows about it, whale wars. They want you to champion these people who are championing the spotted owl and championing the whales and championing whatever interest that they have. But when you make that about the preborn, or when you make that about the family, or when you make that about any of the things that, like as he points out, that Francis Schaeffer drew as important, any of those things that are linked with the Judeo-Christian worldview, you've touched a raw nerve, and all of a sudden it raises, at least in this man's mind, national security implications. You
go back to the Declaration of Independence, and it is God and country. That there is a creator who infused us with certain unalienable rights, and government's role is to protect those rights, and it's people's responsibility to make sure government does just exactly that government has a limited role. You go to the Constitution, and it is a limited federal government. It has, as part of it, the Bill of Rights, the First and Second Amendment, freedom of religion, protecting our right, our inalienable right to worship our Creator, protecting our right to self-defense, thus the right to bear arms. He says that those who want to protect the Second Amendment and bring down taxes are anti-federalist. They're blue-blooded Americans under the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. These are law-abiding people that love God and love America. For them to spend 147 pages trying to demonize people that are not a threat, and then, of course, the president can't use the word war on terror anymore because of his ideology. Even though you've got radical Islam, he doesn't call it war on terror. Instead, his administration, people operating under him like this individual and this group, now want to target Christians, people of faith, people that love the First Amendment, love the Second Amendment, love America, love God, stand up for natural marriage, and protect preborn children.
Matt, there are some reasons so that we can have some joy under persecution, even soft persecution like this, though. By looking at who we all compare with. If you go back by analogy and apply that with history, it would have been folks like Samuel Adams being called this by the English crown. Why? Because he said, you know what, government is too big, and it's doing things that it can't do. It's violating the laws of nature and nature's God, and he was standing up for it, whether it's taxes or whether it's life or whether it's liberty or whatever. The people, if you apply this by analogy, it would be those with the Judeo-Christian worldview that are standing up for liberty, that are fighting for those who have no voices. And if we're being demonized for that by someone who is entrenched with state power, well, so be it. I'd rather be on that side of the line than the other.
No question. I was thinking about this when we did the press release about Patrick Henry. In fact, I've got a framed copy of a reproduction of his speech, the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech, that ultimately resulted in, and right above it is the governor's proclamation that he is a traitor. And so his Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech, and now he's hallowed as one of our great founders, actually put him in the crosshairs of the governor. Here you have people who are law-abiding being put in the targeted by the government. Janet Napolitano, remember that with the Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah.
When she came out with that report in 2010, I believe, she also classified people who were pro-life, believed in the Second Amendment, veterans, as potential domestic terrorist threats. This administration has its values all messed up. It's completely confused. When you actually have a real war on terror, people that fly planes into our buildings here, crash them into other buildings, want to take out innocent human lives, you don't call them terrorists under this administration. But when you have law-abiding people, Christians, people of faith, those that believe in marriage, veterans, Second Amendment, want to protect the preborn, those now are targeted as terrorists. This is why you need to have a voice and get involved in this government, in our communities, to make sure that our freedoms are not lost under this administration during our lifetime. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. Sign up for the Liberty Alert email. You can also order some of our mini bumper stickers. This one right here, Don't Tread on Me, Liberty or Death. It has the Patrick Henry slogan. You can also order the book, Take Back America, and much more at lc.org. That's lc.org.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.